Yeah, right.
Seventh, 2025. The time is approximately 1:08. And we've called this workshop to get, in order to discuss fire department and what options that we have. And so with that, I'm gonna, ask the clerk if she would please do a roll call.
Commissioner Lisa Canavito,
Present.
Commissioner William Ward,
Present.
Commissioner Linda Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Cynthia Burton,
Here.
City Manager Derek Martin,
Here.
Public Works Director Keith Harris,
Here.
Finance Director Steve Conklin,
Here.
and joining us is Mr. Robert Taylor with A1A Architect.
Good afternoon. Sorry I'm a little late.
You're fine. We just started, we're just kicking it off.
And with us also today is City Planner Rebecca Cottle with Zepco and Associates. Mayor Myers.
I'm present. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, Commissioner Moore, you would please lead us in the invocation. Stand if you are able, please.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, once again, we come before you. We want to thank you for your grace and mercy. We want to thank you for waking us up this morning to a brand new day. We want to thank you for allowing us to come together one more time. We ask that you give us grace and mercy. Help us to do and think and speak those things that will be pleasing in your sight. We ask that you be with each of us today and continue to give us knowledge and understanding to be able to do thy will. We ask that you bless our little city here. We ask you to bless surrounding counties. Help us all to do your will. All these blessings we do ask. In thy son Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, I just have a couple of housekeeping things that, if I can remember. So one of them is, I believe you sent something out to all the commissioners. Commissioner DeVito, had sent something, a request from the Presbyterian Church. Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
So if please everybody, we need to let her know if you're planning to be present. And if you have any employees that are planning to be present, I don't know if you've gotten that to her, but we need to make sure we get that
Yes, ma'am.
information as soon as possible. I'll definitely be there.
We'll circle back today and I'll talk to everybody individually as well.
Okay. The other thing is there's a proclamation, and I don't know if you got it sent out to you. Please, if you would read over that, if you've got some changes, but,
I just, there was a part I was gonna add to it.
okay. We have to, the problem is, and when I did it, is it's that size. We have to be careful, because
Okay.
Mel, you're gonna have to let us know, if you would, how much we can actually, there's so much
Yeah.
that I took some things out, added some things in, but then I said, she's gotta be able to squeeze that into,
It's a legal size, is that what it is?
it's legal, so, but by all means, please, any of your, input you want on that, please get that, so that we can have that, on Thursday. Thank you, Commissioner DeVito.
Yes, it's very beautiful. I read it, and
It's,
my only question, and, well, it's a lot of work to do these things, and I know because of my time in life, I've done quite a few, it's a lot of work. Very
comes from
beautiful.
my state when I had to do that for cabinet, so. We did a lot of those.
So I asked, I sent an email to, our city attorney, and I haven't heard back. Do we have to make changes in a meeting? I know that usually you have the discretion to prepare and present proclamations, because I brought my changes to the meeting. I didn't know, maybe if sometime today we could just discuss it briefly, because I had a couple of things I wanted to ask Commissioner Lori, whether he, thought some
Well, let's
changes
go
would
ahead
be
and get that
appropriate.
out, let's go ahead, and if you've got that, are you ready now that you can do that, so we can get that done, so we don't forget, because I don't want us to forget.
Right.
And I think as long as you provide it to the clerk, and then she sends it out, then we should be, we should be okay with that. We've done that in the past, so.
Right.
But,
I know usually they just come prepared. So you want me to go ahead?
yeah, let's finish it up, yeah.
Okay, so, well, and these are just things that I know about. Well, the first thing I noticed was, many accomplishments. It mentions Light Solutions. Where is, sorry, I lost track of a paragraph that talked about the third whereas clause, where it talks about during her tenure as mayor, the things she championed downtown development, parks, beautification projects. Historic preservation was a big one of her issues.
So you add that, by all means, add that, so
So I would put that in the third
if
paragraph,
everyone's in agreement, yeah, absolutely.
because she was the catalyst behind the effort to establish a historic district. She's, but isn't that correct?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, because she presented on that recently to the Historical Society. And then also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the fifth whereas clause, where it says she was a woman of deep faith and compassion. When you say a lifelong member of the First Presbyterian Church, that's really an individual church. Like, I would take out first, because, she was born in Orlando and then she came here.
Was she a Presbyterian in Orlando as an infant?
Right, but I'm saying you would just
Because I
say,
know that they said they went to the Methodist church just to pray that day when they got here, so I didn't know.
I don't know either, you could just say she was a member of the
Of the Presbyterian.
Presbyterian Church, and actually I can write this down. She was an ordained serving elder.
I had heard that she was an elder, but I didn't want to put that in there until
Well, I
I
can
had
tell
it
you
confirmed. Well, I
without
knew you
it.
would. So I had read that somewhere that she was an elder and heard that, so.
So anyway, I don't know what her longtime church membership was. I know the family was.
Well, I think
long
like
time.
Commissioner Lori said that a lifelong member of the Presbyterian.
Okay, just we can take out first, because there can be other churches, there can be Meadowood or whatever.
Okay, that's,
So, and then also, I don't know that active Rotarian fits in the religious paragraph.
That was my.
I think it should be in the next paragraph where it talks about being a successful businesswoman. I would just add in the third line of that next paragraph, I don't know what Commissioner Lori thinks of this, but where it says fairness, honest, and service to others, and was for many years an active Rotarian, because traditionally Rotary, it's a non-religious business.
that's fine, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there, so if you
No, I
wanna,
appreciate
if you
that.
wanna move it over, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that was.
Okay.
Commissioners, y'all okay with that?
You agree with that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'll write these down and provide them to the clerk. Okay,
That's it.
that's it.
Commissioner Moore, you got yours in there?
Yeah, that was my only change was.
With the Rotarian,
Thing I wanted to move
Okay.
down.
Okay, great, thank you. We
The
got
fourth
that,
secular,
I
right?
got that taken care
Thank you, Mayor.
of. Okay.
And thank you for
welcome.
just doing this, thank you.
Oh, no, absolutely, we needed to, that's very important. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna turn it over to, gonna give an overview. Can you give us an overview of where we are and
Sure,
where we're going?
sure, absolutely. So today's meeting is to discuss the future of our existing fire department and location and possible locations that we can maybe move it to. The current property has some limitations in regard to growth, but it also has positives as well, being on the main road and being visible, which is very important to the city. Another issue is that, but it doesn't have a room for a helipad, which the new current chief has talked about, even though we have an agreement with a local business, private property to have that helipad. There's been some talk about finding one in regard to temporary status, just because of the construction taking place, but we do have an agreement with the owner that we can still use that property even during the timeframe for the construction and expansion of their property. With that being said, we have worked, prior to me coming here as city manager, staff has worked endlessly to get this, the appropriations. We originally last year was awarded $1 million in appropriations for the fire department to expand their building and to add changes that would fortify that building and allow for better usage and efficiency for the fire department, new bay, facilities for men and women, volunteers for sleeping quarters and other purposes. That building that's existing now was never really meant for those purposes. It was an existing business years back, and it was retrofitted in order to accommodate the fire department. With that being said, this year we were blessed as a city to receive another $2 million appropriation, and from that $2 million, the question was, can we combine funds? The biggest issue here in this discussion we're talking about is that originally we were set with $1 million budget, and of course that had constraints based for the design that we were going to have and the work that needed to take place in order to make sure we had correct infrastructure. In this sense, it would be a water main for water pressure, and so we had to phase out the plan and also work with another appropriations project in order to try to get that water there and time it perfectly in order to utilize that site. We have met with, after getting the $2 million award, the big question was, can we combine those funds? We met with with Lauren Tingle, which is the representative from the state. She is the seniors grant specialist. I had forwarded information to you all regarding the status of that meeting. We discussed what our key deadlines were. We discussed the appropriations in whole, how we could utilize those funds. Could we get them combined? The answers were yes. They gave us green light to combine those funds. They gave us green light if we needed to purchase a property, we could utilize funds to purchase property. They gave us the green light to change the plan because that was discussed. We have already hired through process a company for that purpose, Mr. Robert Taylor here with A1A, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and he's done a fantastic job on getting plans and specs put together. And so Mr. Robert Taylor is here with us today to discuss moving forward how that process will take place. In that meeting, to recap, we did talk about the key deadlines and the key responsibilities to expect moving forward with this. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Robert Taylor to tell us where we are with the plans, where we are in the process.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. May I stand? I think I'm a little bit
Absolutely,
comfortable standing. Very good.
absolutely, do whatever works for you, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can.
And I also have a flash drive if you'd like to.
That's, if you want to do that, you can, that's awesome also.
All right. Give me a minute to set up. Is that computer?
Whatever meets your needs.
But my computer, if there are any issues, but hopefully it'll work. Just that maybe. There it is, a port.
Yes, sir. Making sure we log in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also have some handouts, but I think, you know, for the benefit of the audience, this should work pretty well.
While he's getting that ready as well, we have, staff has provided a few locations, possible locations, for us to review and talk about, to see what the pros and cons are for those locations other than the existing site that we have. And that's part of the discussion today as well.
If you went onto the folder on the,
Yeah, I'm looking for the folder, Melanie. Maybe you can help me with that.
it's on the taskbar at the bottom,
We do land development and then-
right there in the middle. This little tiny thing.
We should be able to see this.
Over to the right.
It's called store and go, that shows up.
The Explorer folder?
Does
Yeah,
it look like it's on there?
It's the folder, it's in the very middle. It's just a little.
It's the yellow folder.
Yeah, the Explorer. Yeah,
Right there, yeah.
that's it.
Okay.
And then you should have your, it should show your flash drive on the left there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I think I can take it from here. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Fast mouse.
Yes.
Now, this folder contains a volume of information which included the drawings and engineered drawings that we had originally produced for the ambulance station. So unless anybody is interested in that, I'm going to skip over to some more relevant things. And this first one, let me see if I can get a little bit bigger. This is what we call the phases of an architectural service, and I think this is pretty graphic, that it helps to show on the upper side of the portion what the architect is responsible for and how the process moves from the left side to the right side as it goes through the architectural service. The bottom talks about the client responsibilities or opportunities to help guide the design. And you can see we're in the very early part of this purple or lavender part here, this program, the budget analysis, the zoning review, the as-built drawings, the client questionnaire, which may be part of the program and provide integrity and approve the program. So this is the very early stage. And this is what we would call traditionally a design, bid, build process, okay? Which I think jives with what the state has asked us to do. All right. So simply stated, you've seen our schematic design process and the design development and then construction documents and the detailed drawings and specifications.
Yes, let me ask you a question, Mr. Taylor. I hate
Yes,
to interrupt you, but do you have printed copies for?
I have some hard copies. Sure do.
So the commission might, I know some of them, it's
Yeah, let's see
read from
here.
that.
Yeah, you can pass those out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just thought that, for the convenience of,
Yes.
and if y'all need to pull by any means, by all means, pull your chairs to where you can see. Thank you.
You don't want to shift? Nobody's moving. Yeah.
And you call this,
It's a phases, the architectural service. And Mayor, if I may, I'd like to go ahead and pass these out.
absolutely.
This summary of the work is actually what we did for the ambulance station. Commissioner. Yeah, I think there's enough
Okay.
for everybody.
Yes.
Now, of course, this hasn't been updated to accommodate the addition of the fire station criteria, but this will be our next step in the process, is to identify. Let me just close that, I don't know what that is.
Mayor, can I ask a question before
Yes.
Mr. Taylor starts? Okay, so thank you, Mr. Taylor, for being here. And the 2 pages that you just handed out, you said this is a summary of the work for the ambulance station.
That's correct.
So it's been a little while, that was going to go on the existing site, correct?
Yes,
So the proposal was for the $1 million, we were going to upgrade our fire station and put the ambulance bays there. Does that describe what we?
not exactly. The existing facility would remain essentially as is, but this would be a brand new ambulance station. And we considered a couple of options as to its location and ultimately decided it would be best on the east side of the fire station.
Right,
In the-
but what I'm trying to clarify is where we were with the initial $1 million
Correct.
was the new part was going to be only the ambulance station. Do I understand that?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
we have no place.
Y'all just said 2 different things.
Well, it
You
was
said-
a combination ambulance and dormitory with 2 offices.
That's what I remember.
That's right, Mayor.
Okay.
It did have a dormitory.
There's a dormitory because currently we have no housing.
That's correct.
Right, and so the actual fire station wasn't going to change very much because of the limitation of the $1 million. Is that where we were?
Wasn't gonna change at all, was it, Mr. Taylor?
Yes,
That's what I'm-
that's what we were striving.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He had a 10-foot breezeway, is that correct? You
That's
presented to us, we had a 10-foot breezeway, you presented to us.
We did have a breezeway connection, and I do have those drawings, Commissioners and Mayor.
We did. We went through all this.
Yeah, we've gone through all this.
Yeah, this is old news, but the reason I presented this today is that this is something we need to update to accommodate the additional grant requirements and the requirements for the fire station. And I've given this to Chief Reiser for his review and comment, and I'm sorry he couldn't be here today, but I'd be delighted to work with him and other commissioners and the city manager as necessary to update those. To me, this is one of the first things we need to do, is to get the program up to speed.
Okay, and
So-
Mayor,
Yes.
I apologize for asking for the review, but I couldn't locate my documents from whatever meeting it was, and there might be people here who would need an update. I mean, this is for me, this is for anybody who's listening, I wanna make sure
Well,
that we know
remember,
where
we
we are.
had to go through the whole zoning, the rezoning.
Oh, I remember that.
And
Yes.
so we went through the rezoning, so the
Right.
Episcopal Church, they had some concerns, and so we responded to those concerns. And that was all part of that original discussion, the
Right.
original discussion.
I remember the rezoning, and I think the Episcopal Church had some concerns about how close we would come to the property line. And we made those rezoning changes
Yes,
to respond to that, right? Okay,
well.
thank you.
We accommodated the existing setbacks with the new construction.
The setbacks,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did not encroach. We didn't want to get into another situation with that.
Okay,
And we did get preliminary approval from the building department, building and zoning department for Putnam County in that process. And I got that in writing. So just for the benefit of the audience, I pulled up that summary of the work. And I don't know that that's just particularly relevant, except that this is something we're gonna have to do again. And be happy to help work with whomever is on that program to move it forward. And let's see. We had several different parcels of property being considered. Let me get my hard copy notes here. Derek, I think I've got these in some kind of order. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I did not run multiple copies of this. But the first one you're familiar with is across the street from City Hall on Florida Avenue. And I believe it's owned by Artura and Vega. And from the, yeah, Florida Avenue, just down the street across the way. The first thing I did was to look at its proximity to the current City Hall and its acreage. One of the things is the helipad that we talked about. And as I understand, this will take about 150 by 150 plus air clearances. So this particular parcel is only 0.58 acres, so it wasn't adequate. And it is zoned SR1, which may not be relevant, but simply stated, it's just too small. That's what it says in the property records. I'm not sure what SR stands for.
It's single family.
Maybe single family residence.
Is that really appropriate for a helipad?
No, it wouldn't work. So we'd have to go through a rezoning process.
Well, and the helipad is not,
It's not
Okay,
we have a helipad and
well,
a firm requirement. It's nice. It's something that we would like to if we could,
we could.
but that's not a deal.
okay,
It's secondary.
Can we first decide on what we need?
yes, okay,
Okay, and then go from there, I mean, you know, and the other thing too, and I think I brought this up at our meeting, is, you know, we have some property that we already own, and that's what we really, I think, should be looking at, not property that we are going to purchase, property that could be used, okay, for possibly putting in homes or something that would bring in tax dollars. So that's been poo-poo, is that,
No, nothing has been
then I think this
eliminated,
is what
but
we
he's
should
going
be.
through all the options here.
Yeah.
For us to talk about all the options.
could I be recognized for just a moment?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna ask to be recognized to say exactly what Commissioner Burton just said. The part she said about, could we please decide what the goals are, what the scope of the project is? Because to date, the city commission has really not been involved in that. We put in a general request to the legislature for more funding to complete however it was described. I saw it in there, it's about a paragraph. And then the fire chief has come up with some ideas about what he would like to do. And it's my understanding that the fire chief met with the city manager and other staff and the mayor and Mr. Taylor, and y'all had a great discussion. But the commission as a whole, we have not looked at, I mean, what I would expect for a several $1 million project like this is that we would have, and no offense to Mr. Taylor, you're doing a great job out there, but that part where it says client or whatever, I would kind of expect the fire chief to say what we have now and specifically what we need. How many, just describe what we need and go from there. And then we could decide. The fire chief seems to want a helipad. Commissioner Lori just said that's optional. Right there, that just clicked with me. We haven't decided what's essential and what's optional. So,
We're also looking at an old exhibit, you know, a summary work that was done back in September 2024 or a smaller piece of property, correct?
Mhm.
So are we gonna try and take this and make this work with whatever it is you're gonna come up with for the bays and?
Loosely,
Or are
yes.
we gonna just start from?
You-
We have
here?
options,
Yeah,
that's what
we're
we've
really
got.
gonna start from scratch, Commissioner Burton.
Okay.
This might be an essential item for the dorm and maybe for the kitchen and restroom facilities, but for the apparatus bays and other functions of the fire station, they'll have to get bigger. The kitchen will get bigger, the day room will get bigger. So this is just the beginnings. And as you see, it's a year and a half old right now. So I only gave that to you kind of, you see, this is what we had and we're gonna go completely new.
See, I'm just a person that, you know, this is what we had, but I'm a person that likes to see where we're going.
Right, yeah, okay.
That's why I'm asking the questions I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. I understand completely, and I think you're prudent to try to collect as much
Well-
information as you can.
And I think why we got to where we are is just for, and we've all seen the plans. They've presented us with the plans. We've all gotten a copy of those original plans. We didn't know if we were gonna get that additional, and actually, we were only expecting an additional million. They said put in for two, no guarantee. When I know when Charles, was working with them the first year, they came back, the governor's office came back and said, if you have $1 million, can you work with $1 million? And so we said, yeah, we'll make something happen with $1 million, absolutely. No guarantee that the next year we would get it. Fortunately, and we're very blessed, I had to sit with mayors this morning and that got nothing this last year and, you know, and we talked about that. They gave us 2 million more. And then we're like, okay, well, that changes everything. And so that's why we're here today is kind of, we are kind of starting over. This is an opportunity for us to look at everything that we can put there and where we're gonna put it. And revisit, do we do it in a phase? Because this was the first phase. Do we do it in a phase or do we do it all at one time? And am I correct, Mr. Taylor?
Mayor, I think with the money that you had, I think the project is attainable in a single phase. Frequently, when you separate projects into multiple parts, these individual parts increase. And there are always gonna be some issues about compatibility of new versus old. We talked about software issues the other day with someone else. I'm sorry, it wasn't you. But yeah, I think there's enough money in the program to do the fire station with the EMT facility, particularly if it's on property that's already owned by the city. And one of them that the city manager had given to me is in the city ownership already. So I was kind of just going through the quote easy one so we could take a look at some of the latter two. This one is the Lions project. Let me even pull this up. Just so the audience can kind of follow some. This is a parcel on Lemon Street and Summit Street. And it's a little bit small. It's 0.73 acres. And it's not owned by the city, it's owned by John Lyons. So I presented this and I said, well, the location is decent, but right now you have an acre where the fire station is now. So it's a little smaller than that.
If I may, on that property, and I apologize, but I believe that there would be
It
property,
includes that,
yes.
that's
So
a grassy part down on the bottom.
Correct, so
That's included in that too.
if that were to be an option, we would increase the acreage by the property to the south of that.
Okay.
And because he owns both of those, and he would actually, we would be taking some of the top property, the northern property, and then all of the bottom or most of the bottom. And so it would change the numbers slightly.
Well, assuming the parcel on the bottom half, Mr. Martin, is roughly equal to the top, you'd have about 1.5 acres.
Okay.
So, yeah, and again, the street in the center of see where it says Lemon Avenue? That's Summit Street.
Right.
Yeah, so, it's nicely located within the city relative
It's the
to,
old Hank Bustler.
The city hall.
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that one's deserving of a second look. Okay. The next one This is Producer's Hardware. Oops, I don't want that. I deleted that. This is the one I want. Okay, this parcel is about 2.78 acres.
And which
And,
parcel is that?
The street on the right of the block is Summit Street, okay? South Summit.
Okay, just to let you know, I cannot see a thing on that screen, so you
Okay,
want me to
let me do
know where it is, you have to call out the address.
Let me do this.
Well, it's Irwin's corner, it's the campaign corner, right, it's the campaign corner. It's the
Okay, okay.
house and Summit.
Everybody wants to wow on it.
It's Summit and Reed Avenue. It's Summit Reed Avenue.
I'm sorry.
Summit was on the
The car racetrack goes on these properties, and you'll just say the address, that will help me right there.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to come up and show me the thing, but if you'll just call out the address,
All right, very good.
thank you.
I see like junction, some other junction.
Oh, unfortunately, it's listed as a PO box.
Yeah, it's.
Producer's Hardware.
Yeah.
It's okay, I know, I mean, if you just do the cross streets, I
Yeah.
get it,
Yeah, well, Summit Street would be on the right.
got it.
Yeah.
It's at the edge of town, right?
So, again, this was not owned by the city. It's zoned currently as general commercial. The property value is listed on here. The total value was, looks like 242,000 tax assessed value from my numbers.
And it's 2.78 acres.
I'm sorry,
It's 2.78 acres.
2.78 acres, Mr. Laurie.
Okay, so it's a big, big site.
If you can't read that, I have the property card, and Derek, I'd be happy to give these to you. I didn't run multiple copies, but, okay.
I just wanted to point that out.
And are there any questions about this parcel? If not, I'll go to the last one, which is 500 Junction Road.
Which is right there on the corner of Junction and Old 17, it's where our
Yeah.
site, that's our site right there.
Okay.
We talked to the break.
Commissioner Vito, right
I know-
there
I
is the
know
block.
what this one is. Yeah. I know,
Okay, you know where that was at. Okay.
yes, and the city, that's our city property, right?
Yeah. So one of the nice things, it's 5 acres, which is adequate, I think, for our purposes. And according to the county records, it's already owned by the city. So that's kind of a win-win.
What about our current, our current location?
I'm sorry,
Our
Mayor.
current location.
Our current location would be up from that. This is on Pine Street. And unfortunately, this is not a live slide. I might be able to get into the property appraiser site.
Get us there if you need.
You know, it says Pine Street is the cross street there.
No, where our current location, our current fire department location.
It's on Eucalyptus.
Right.
Eucalyptus, yes.
So is that one of the parcels also that we can consider?
I don't think so. I think this is separate from that. It says,
No, I know that, but is that a parcel that we could consider? As far as the multiple parcels, is our current site a parcel that can also be considered for this?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Can we rebuild on our current parcel?
Yes, you
Okay,
can,
that's what I
yes.
wanna know.
It is a public facility zone. It's about 1 acre. Of course, one of the downsides of that, you'd have to demo it and provide alternate facilities until such time as the new structure was constructed.
But that would have enough property there to do what we're trying to do?
The helipad is 150 by 150, which is about a half acre.
Can that be on top of the building? No, I'm just.
Well,
That was just a wish list
That
item.
was
I
a
mean, we
wish
only
list,
brought
and
that
yes,
up
it
as
can be on
something.
top of the building.
Right, that was the chief, because currently, as it stands right now, we have that agreement with a private owner, not our property. It would just consolidate everything in one-stop shop. Correct.
Yeah.
But it's not a deal breaker by any means. I think one thing to caveat, discuss on this is that each one of these, and I'm gonna put my notes up now, each one of these properties have pros and cons. The biggest thing about the properties are the utilities. What infrastructure do we currently have in the ground? And I think that's something to take into consideration. We don't have our civil engineer here today, but I talked to Mr. Grady this morning, and he feels the same. Until we choose what property that we're gonna move forward with, we're not gonna know that number, but we can be rest assured, you're gonna have at least 150 to $250,000 worth of site work to be done. However, on these properties that the city owns that are on some of these main roads, and Keith would be able to talk better about what facilities are currently there, water, sewer, storm, these properties will have less, so our costs will not be as deeply incurred as if we went to go into another area that needs more infrastructure. The one thing about our current property, it has that pro that it is right in town, it's visible, and that's super important. But there is still a significant amount of utility work and site work that needs to be done on that property that we really haven't dove into those numbers yet. But you're talking probably $200,000 or $300,000 or more for that property. So I just want to bring that to y'all's attention moving forward when you're making a decision.
Is that even with the new water going through there? Are we still looking at that type of site work?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
still gonna do that as soon as it gets turned loose.
I know, but what I'm saying though, is that going to, would that not decrease that amount that we were originally looking at? That if we had to bore or do any of that across the street?
I think that's a timing issue.
Yeah, it's a timing issue. It's really not gonna cost any more unless we really have to bore 17
Right.
to get started. But, I know that talking to Jason Sheckler, a lot of stuff is getting ready. They're gonna turn it all loose, hopefully next week or week after next to go out to bids.
Okay. So, but we have time, so it should be completed by the time we're ready to do what we have to do is what, I guess.
I would say so, and it also depends on the money too, because the CDBG, there was only 650,000 in the budget,
Okay,
and we're using 108 of it. We're paid 108 right now, but we'll get reimbursed from the CDBG for the stuff on
right,
308. This facility here that he has up has a 6-inch water main in front of it. Also has, of course, it's a forest main. We would have to do a lift station, and the property's already cleared. Like you said, with the fire station that we have now, you would have to demo the whole building. We got to find a place to house the fire trucks, which is the only place I think the county has that they would let us. That's Satsuma. That's where, and then of course you're gonna take, it's probably, Bob, would you say a year to build?
About a year to build. Could be a little quicker.
So our trucks would be out of town for a year driving back and forth.
And one thing to add to that too, we have had interesting parties in the property. Staff has not done any research on that or moved forward because we want to bring that to you all for a decision. Ultimately, we have to have this discussion. But if it would be the request of the commission for us to investigate how much and get a realtor involved to find out what the comps are, we do have an interested party of business that would like to purchase that building and has had discussions directly with other staff members, not myself. But I was brought into the fold after the fact, so.
Mayor, could I just say one thing? This is all great information, but to me, I've not really seen a local government make a decision like this based on a discussion and people chiming in. To me, what this calls for is the properties that the staff thinks should be considered. And this is after, I think that we need to decide what the scope of the project is, just generally. But for the properties that staff thinks should be considered, I think we ought to have before us the costs, the pros, the cons, because we've talked about a number of costs here. But we just have, they're just rotating in our heads. you want to see a bottom line, and then you want to take into account the intangibles. I mean, as I understand it, we have, you know, some sites will have different acreage, some sites will have the frontage on 17, some sites will require more preparation, others will not. Those costs differ greatly. Then there's the basic cost of construction, the possible cost of land. I mean, to me, and then the intangibles. And then the issue of the helipad. Do we need to put aside money and plan a future for that? But to me, before we choose a site, I think we need to see the costs, the factors, the nuts and bolts, and then we will have the basis to make a reasonable decision. You know,
Well, yes, go ahead,
I'm sorry, Mayor.
please.
If I may, today is not a decision day for properties. Today is to get the conversation started for you all to task staff, myself, to move forward in any direction. If you would like to get cost on the properties, if you would like me to work with Mr. Taylor to figure out those pros and cons, we can do that, because essentially we'll have another workshop where we can bring you those items, have them for the public so they can see those, and then we can make a decision. Because, I mean, you are correct, we need to give you all that, but that's what this meeting is to discuss on how we're gonna formulate that moving in the future. Other workshops set up, today is not decision day.
This is just really, I think, more than anything, bringing everybody up to speed as to where we are today and how we want to go forward. And I think, you know, what is our task here? Well, our task is we're going to build a new fire station, ultimately. And then we're gonna have to figure out, you know, how many bays we want in it. You know, and that's gonna probably be some conversation with the county as well. And then the ambulance, and then, you know, this first one that we had to back off on the dormitories. So we can add the dormitories, but I mean, ultimately, that's the task at hand. Is we have an opportunity to build a state-of-the-art fire station for Crescent City. And in doing so, then we're gonna have to determine, and where do we want that state-of-the-art fire station to be? And
okay,
so,
well, that's start with your plan, but who is going to tell us what the components of the state-of-the-art fire station are?
I mean, when you talk about components, like what components do you want? We know there's gonna be dormitory beds,
Right.
there's gonna be a kitchen,
Right.
there'll be refrigerators, there'll be a TV, there'll be
Okay.
recliners.
So
Um,
are we designing it right here, like you're
No, we're
saying what
not.
you want? Okay,
That's typically what you put in a fire station, so you're asking for components, and I'm saying, what components are you,
okay.
define components, so that Mr. Taylor has that, because he's the one doing it.
Okay, so the fire chief isn't going, where does the
Yeah, the
fire
fire
chief
chief
come in?
is.
Where does Mr. Taylor come in? I think we need to look at what is the desired, when you say a state-of-the-art fire station, what, for a small town, for a medium-sized town, for a large town?
Just remember, it's not just for Crescent City, it's for the surrounding area as
Well,
well.
it's for our responsibility.
And it's
That
planning
we
for
take
the
on.
future, and it's planning for
Okay.
the future
Right,
growth.
so where's the numbers? We should have numbers and a proposal. I mean,
Well,
we
I
can
think-
say that, but I want somebody to show me, what we are talking about here.
I think you're
and
kind of
the
halfway.
cost.
I think to start, you know, we're talking about, well, where would we like it, and what would a piece of property, what pieces of property are out there that have enough acreage and this and that and the other. But I think she's right in the sense that, well, we need to understand, okay, if you want, instead of having well, this is a joke really, but instead of having, you know, if you go to the Ace Hardware piece of property, you know, how much is that gonna cost for us to purchase that piece of property on top of now building what it is that we're gonna build? So I mean, we're kind of the bare bones here, just kind of looking and like looking through a display window saying, well, I want this dress or that dress, you know, and this one's, you know, $5,000 and this one's $150. I mean, that's kind of where we're at.
Yes,
You know, and that's really the starting point.
yes.
And then from there, you know, I would expect some kind of, once we get that information, because, you know, everybody wants the biggest piece of cake,
Mhm.
for the least amount of money, right?
Absolutely, always.
And so we need to know those, we do need to know those numbers. And the other thing too, okay, is once we learn that, then maybe we can start talking about all the components, I guess, that everybody's talking about. And how that's gonna go together, and that would be you, of course, coming in with
You're right,
how
Commissioner.
it's gonna come together.
Yes, yes. And that is typically our charge.
Yeah,
Okay, and we typically would meet with the authority having jurisdiction, which might be Putnam County Planning and Development, which should include Wright, the fire marshal. It would include Joseph, Riser,
Yeah.
because Jason is no longer with us.
Yeah.
But, and maybe a commissioner or two that is very interested in this project. That way you'd always be in the loop. And we would have periodic meetings as necessary to develop the program first, okay? Remember, the first phase is to get the program, and then we determine whether or not sites are adequate based on the program. We'll tap the expertise of Keith and the Gas Authority and others who have insight as to what's available at these projects. And then we can identify, as Mr. Vito had requested, what do we have and how much is it gonna cost to extend it? If we already have water and sewer, that saves a bunch of money. A 6-inch main sounds adequate. A force main is easy to handle, just a lift station. It'll be a commercial lift station, but it will do the job. And so those are costs which we can identify and put numbers into. And like we did in the very early phase when we were doing this due diligence evaluation in 2022, there was a breakdown. Unfortunately, I didn't bring that breakdown with me, but we identified site development costs, and that one had site water retention and electrical and water extensions and other things, part of the site development, then building costs and mechanical, plumbing, electrical, all those costs were tallied on a spreadsheet, and then at the bottom it said X number of dollars. So we could do that same type of thing again, and with reference to the deadline that we have on the grant, the early deadline is, I think it was 2029. Before we had to spend that $1 million.
It was.
Yeah, that may be the whole thing. We'll get it all done by 2029. Yeah, that, it seems quite doable to me. I said, gee, if they gotta do it by the end of this year, we're in deep trouble, but,
2028, and I'd like to see it done by 2028.
yeah.
And we have time, we're not in a rush.
If I could just say one more thing.
Sure.
So, okay, so I'm looking at the project phases. And what I'm really talking about is at the very beginning of the project phase, it says client questionnaire for the client, and then for architect, it says program. And I guess my concern is that and I think Commissioner Burke touched on this a little bit, we're off talking about properties, but to me, some very basic information, I don't know, would be what size facility are we building? Okay, that's things like how many rooms, what's supposed to be in it, how much square footage do we need for this facility, how much parking do we need?
that all
That's
comes with.
summary of the work.
After you buy the property.
And that's gonna come with how big of a parcel that we have.
And the biggest,
Okay,
what
wait,
was
wait, wait.
that for space?
So we're saying, okay, because to me, that's the opposite order. We're saying, we're gonna buy the property first, and then we're gonna figure out how big a place we want.
No, I wouldn't do that.
No, I think we kind of know what we want,
Well, wait, how do we know what we want?
but trust me, we know we want 3 bays, we know that we want, I don't know how many bays.
We want-
There's a
yeah,
few
we
things
want
that
more
we kind
bays.
of know.
Those have to be decided.
Okay, so here, right here, Commissioner Burton said, we know we want 3 bays, the mayor said we want more. To me, we need to find a place and a time to have some discussion with the correct professional, or more than one professional, to tell us what should be the scope of this project in terms of how many rooms, how many bays, how much parking. I'm not a fire chief, I can't possibly tell you that. I've not spoken with the fire chief about this. But to me, it seems a little backwards to say we're gonna buy the property first and then we're gonna figure out what size.
Well, then I'll tell you what we can do, I mean, the whole reason I think that we're even having this meeting is just to kind of bring everybody up to speed. This is where we are, and as we go forward, we can go ahead and in the workshop now, and we can reschedule it if that's what you feel you want to do, and you don't want to know all this information.
No,
I personally want to know this information. I want to know what sites we're looking at. I want to know what's the compatibility with what we could do on those sites. You know, to me, that's important. I mean, some of them that it might not be that we could build as much as we want, but it would still be compatible. You know, that's what I would like to know. And as far as putting it together and the components, that's something that Mr. Taylor and with the fire chief and with the city manager and with Keith and with Jason, that's their technical
That's what they
expertise.
do, yes.
That's their technical expertise. If they say that, you know, if the fire chief says we need 5 bays as we go forward to prepare for in the future, then okay, then we get 5 bays. That's not, today is just really kind of to bring everybody up to speed, because we hear that one person has information, one person doesn't. Well, here, everybody's gonna have all the information. But if y'all don't want all that information today, then by all means, I am happy to, that we can cancel the workshop and do it for another day. That's entirely up to all of you. Yes.
I would also like to add something there. We met with the county and we went and looked at one of their brand new fire station facilities that is being built. Right now, the price tag for that, not including the site work, was around 1.6 million, I believe. I could be off, 1.7. Our original design, we had only $1 million. The reason, going back to when I had started this conversation with y'all just now today, the reason we're here is to discuss, we have a new pot of money and we have to decide how we're gonna go spend it. One of the things that I haven't asked of you, Mr. Taylor, and I apologize because I need to answer to the commission, is what the cost is gonna be on your end. Your original contract, I believe, was $109,000, I give or take. I do not have the cost in front of me on exactly what we've expended, but I know that there will be an additional cost to redesign. And I believe that it's the city's hope to try to save as much money as possible in that effort. We have contacted the county as well, and they will provide a plan, 30,000 foot view for you to utilize. And per the appropriations, we can't just take their plans. We have to have you design it. That's the rules of the game for us to get the money and to get reimbursement to pay you. I would like, in the interim of this meeting after this point, to look at, you know, what your costs are gonna be, and I would like that proposal as soon as possible.
And one thing that I would like to just remind everybody, I don't wanna be, you know, my thought for Crescent City, is that it's gonna grow. You know, Crescent City will grow, and the area around Crescent City will grow. And I would hate to just put it on a stamp that just allows enough room for what we're thinking about building right now. 3 bays and 2 bays or whatever for, I don't know what it's going to be. But I think if you can, even if that's what you start with, you want enough room where you can add, because that's the problem we have right now. We don't have enough room to put on what we need right for this moment. So it's always nice to have that in your back pocket.
I have a question as well. When Commissioner Burton said, have room to add what you need.
This is future planning.
Right, but, so it occurs to me, it would be helpful to know how this fits in with the county's long-range plans, if they have any. And as well, typically, as you get larger, don't you develop satellite stations? You don't necessarily have all of your bays or all of your trucks in one spot, is my, that's a question that I have. And I don't know how that would all fit together for us, but typically, I know you see in other towns that you go to more than one fire facility. Because they don't just necessarily have one giant one in the middle of town. They can have separate ones, but that's part of future planning. So, but no, and, from my perspective, Mr. Taylor is here, so I would like to know what he has to say, for sure. But I want to have a
Okay.
reasonable plan.
Well, we will, and I will say this too, is that the other part of this is my understanding, Derek, Christina, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, but before we submit our plans, everything, our proposal to the state, one of the key components is you have to have the, property, title.
Yes, correct.
You have to
Free
have-
and
you have to
free and
have-
clear.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to have the property title, and so. And so that's why we have to have this discussion early, especially if we're gonna do that, because another key to that is currently, and again, please correct me, but when asked, in part of this 3 million, could that be the purchase of a piece of property? It was not included, however, if we feel we need to, and our justification to do so would be the fact that it would close down our entire fire station for a period of time, leaving us with one some miles away that, because it can't accommodate, that we could put a request in, is that correct? That we could put a request in,
Yes, ma'am.
to use a portion of the money for the purchase of a parcel. So all of this stuff kind of comes together, it's part of the big picture, but it's things that, that we have to. And I also know that Chief Razor and Chief Highfeld both, were talking about the elementary school. Yes, over off of Cherry, and both of them felt that, they're not here today, I'd like to hear from them, their thoughts, because, and even Chief Highfeld, if he wants to, because he ran it for so long, he understands it, that doing it off of Junction, they had some concerns because of the width of the road, and being able to get in and out of where they need to get in and out of. And that was just a concern that they both shared. And so that's something that we'd have to hear from them. Now, Chief Razor, what did he say the other day did he say something about when he looked at the school, the helipad, there were 2 trees there which caused concern?
I'm trying to look it up now. He had a concern overall as a complex, he liked it, but there were some concerns, infrastructure concerns that would hinder the operation of the fire department, that would have to be addressed. And they could be, but I believe it was some trees specifically.
For the helipad?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
But also, isn't that, I get concerned about putting a helipad in a residential neighborhood. That's a residential neighborhood. It's great to have a school there, but it's a residential neighborhood. And those things are very noisy. I've lived near a helipad before. I've been in Tampa General Hospital visiting people when the helicopter comes.
It
And
does.
it's noisy.
And that's something that if we end up picking a site somewhere in town, we always have that one out there on Junction, they can put a helipad on.
Well, I'm just saying that's a part of the plan.
And I found the email, you are correct, it was 2 large trees that we would have to consider if that would be the issue. Then of course,
I thought, yeah.
It's a residential neighborhood, and I know how noisy it is when the sheriff's, we just had that discussion, I think last May, we had to talk about the police presence and but there's a lot to discuss, and my hope is that it will all be written down, so we can see it.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, if you want to continue, Keith, you're standing there like you were just ready to say something. Why don't you?
It's okay, I'm just.
No, go ahead. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to bring it to your attention too, that, Joe wants to build a nice station. He wants at least 5 or 6 bays. Because right now we got trucks, boats sitting outside. The boat's going to hang. And he also wants, what do we say, 75-foot wide building?
Keith, I can't remember general discussions with Joseph, but rest assured, we're adept at taking written or photographs or partial photographs or look at that one and not like this. We put it all together all the time.
Well, also Joe's wanting to be able to have drive-through bays.
Right.
And as of right now, if we were to build a new building over there, depending on how we lay it out, I don't know if we're gonna have a drive-through bays. And that's one of the things that he wants. And I think the building was gonna be big enough that as we got bigger, you could actually park fire trucks behind each other.
And it's good for fire trucks to be able to drive through. It's hard to back up those big things. And that's why they have those king-size bollards next to the building.
Yeah.
So
But that's what me and him had been talking about, was 5 to 6 bays. And then, of course, like the lady said in our meeting about the appropriations, she said to make sure we spec that building with everything. So we gotta watch how much money we spend, because we could actually go in there and everything will be brand new. So, I mean, like, we put a lot better air compressor for them, a scroll that's don't have no moisture in it, new ice machines, whatever they want. And if we were to buy a piece of property, well, that's gonna take away from that. Because I know she did say make sure we spec it out.
Yeah.
With everything.
With everything.
Did they mention anything about new fire trucks?
No, because I don't think we can,
It can't be part of this.
yeah, it can't be part of this appropriations.
I asked that same question. So can we get a new fire truck out this too?
Maybe on the next one.
So, Mayor, if I could,
Yeah.
this would be so helpful. I mean, Keith has just reported to us what the fire chief wants, which is great, but even better would be if the fire chief would write it down and present that and just share it to the commission, then we would have it. That's the kind of thing that I think is very important for us to have sooner rather than later. I mean, that's just a good process, so everyone has the same information. And then we can look at the pros and cons, and as well, we need to look at the cost of all this, because that will go into it.
we could certainly assist in that. I'd be happy to meet with the new chief, and like I say, one of the commissioners or the city manager wants to be involved. That's great. You'll have a liaison back to the full group. We typically talk to the AHJ on fire stations because we want to take the latest standards and responsibility. It's not unique to have one fire marshal say, I don't really worry about that, and another one say, oh, I gotta have that. So Matt Miranda, a mechanical plumbing electrical engineer, I think he did 5 fire stations for the villages last year. So he's adept at what's happening on the current scene and has the latest trends and equipment. So we could take advantage of our insight collectively to come up with the best overall solution. Derek, if whomever has that drawing, just take a picture of it. I don't need to do anything except count the spaces. We can go from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
And also, I'm sure we can line it up where we can go and do a site visit and go look at the building.
absolutely.
which I know someone in your profession would love to do.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to ride with you.
Okay, all right, very good.
And the other part, Commissioner DeVito, is the due diligence. I think you're right to ask these questions. You want to have as many answers as you can have on your hip pocket to tell the citizens that this is how we did our homework. We did a detailed program. We talked to the authority having jurisdiction. We investigated several different sites. We took advantage of the civil engineer, the planning, Mark Corrett's insight. We took advantage of my consultants and our experience and insight, and we created this program. We created a schematic design. We worked with your public works director and others who are influential and knowledgeable about what's happening. And, it'll take a little time to assemble the due diligence, but I think that the time period is ample. So there's no immediate rush or concern that we can't take our time and do a good job. We should do that. We should do that.
And again, today is just like what you
Just to
said.
start. Yeah,
It's
just
a
to start.
start for us to
Yeah.
start talking about this, letting everybody know where we are and what we have the opportunity we have here.
Yes.
And I have a question if I can,
Sure.
Mayor. So if we do, which we are gonna be looking at these properties, I had a question in regard to your design and getting all the players and stakeholders involved. What is your timetable for a turnaround for a new deliverable? If we started tomorrow, let's just say?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm planning to be out of town for a couple of weeks, starting on the 16th. I'll be back on the 27th.
Yes, sir.
But typically it takes 6 to 8 weeks to go through a due diligence or a schematic design process. So I think, maybe a couple more weeks, maybe we're looking at 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
Now we're running into the holidays, so sometimes that creates scheduling issues. We'll be diligent. We understand that everything has a deadline. And I think Commissioner DeVito said one time, time is of the essence. I know that my time is valuable. I know your time is valuable. My goal is to make it mutually as valuable as it can be so you can make good decisions and we'll all be happy with the effort that we created. I haven't been in business over 50 years just because, I'm not diligent. I'm not careful. I am diligent. I am careful. I am concerned about the quality of the projects we produce and the comfort level of my clients. I want them to have that comfort level. We've done the best we could with the dollars that we had.
Thank you.
And, be happy that you got until 2029.
I'm sorry.
Be happy that you have,
Actually,
to
we have
get it
until
done.
2030,
2030.
but 2029 for that first one.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. That's awesome.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Just, to me, what jumps out at me is we have to execute the grant agreement. It says right here, key deadlines, 18 months from the grant award, which is January 30th, 2027.
Yeah.
So that's a year from this January. And to do that, as you said before, the top thing you have to have is that ownership documentation. So we do, we certainly have to settle on the site and make sure we have ownership of that site and all of these other things
That's why,
by January 30th, 2027.
Yeah.
that's why we're trying to get started on it now.
Well, Commissioner DeVito, see that first is research,
Yeah.
then preliminary site plan.
Right.
Basically, those two first bullet points, if you will, are what we're going to strive for in this 8 to 10 weeks.
Right, but what concerns me is the commission we have no agreement on the elements of how big exactly we want this to be.
Yeah.
So, and somewhere.
Yeah.
We have to agree as a commission.
We'll help you define that.
All
We
right.
will indeed. We'll take advantage of all the expertise that we can and get the best answers.
So perhaps the next step is to give us a list of parcels and then the pros and cons, for our next time we meet. But you said that you had some pros and cons already written up, right,
Yes, sir.
on the parcels?
Yes,
You
sir.
have those pros and cons, you wanna talk a little bit about them?
It's really
We've
just,
got some time.
yeah, it's just location, pros and cons. We've discussed a couple of them, utilities, not utilities, construction for the site work, the accessibility of them. Having a building where you can have more bays versus, the drive-through bays versus single, door bays. So it really depends when we hone in on which specific properties. And if it's these and you all are good with us continuing to dig down into these, I'll have everything from cost, associated costs with that, real estate costs for purchase, and then list out the pros and cons for you for each one.
That's,
Okay.
right, helpful.
Mayor, I have a question. So, and I think that sounds great, but you said we were here to hear from Mr. Taylor. Does he have more to share with us?
Yes, Mr. Taylor, do you have more to share with us?
Do I have more to?
Do you have anything else that you would like to share with us? Any concerns
No,
that you have? Because now we want to hear everything.
Okay. Let me see, what else did it? I had, you have the summary of the work. This was just meeting minutes of our last meeting, and you can have those, Mr. Martin, if you wish. But, I think we need to do the due diligence.
Yes.
we need to tap the expertise that's in the room. And if you have other sites we need to be involved in, we want to look at them all together. Efficiency and time is travel. I used to have my office in downtown, and it took me 5 minutes to get anywhere in Black. It was easy. Now I live out of town. It's now 30 minutes. It's 15 out and 15 back. So down here, it's 45 minutes. It's an hour and a half. So when we come down here, we want to accomplish everything we can. It's only an hour and a half in the automobile.
We understand, everybody, we have to go to Palaca in the same way. I was there today and I didn't accomplish something I was supposed to, and I got scary, I was like, oh, darn, I was supposed to do this.
I think,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I think going back to the pros and cons of Grass Mountain Air, one of the things is the visibility. It's been brought up a couple of times, and I think it's really important. And there may be some offsets to that, but having a visible fire station to the public is important. As a city, it's just like our city hall. That's an important aspect of it. That would be a pro. The response time, I've talked to Chief Razor about that. He feels that any of these options would be kind of a flat, not a negative or a pro. Of course, being where they're at right now has some, he believes, some safety issues, but that hasn't been, rose over time. And thank God we haven't had any issues with it, with the apparatus coming in and out off the highway. But those types of things we'll be looking at, and I'll give you all a full list of those as we move forward.
I mean, I think that's one of my concerns thinking about Berlin's site, or the producer's Ace Harbor site right there. Coming up the hill into Crescent City, people do not slow down. And if you have a fire truck pulling out there, even if we have blinking lights, we have anything, I mean, it just seems like that's dangerous. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Those are things that will be discussed.
Yeah.
I talked to Chief about that too, because that was one of my concerns also when he was talking about that he really liked that spot. And I said, that hill is so dangerous. And then he said, well, then you put those caution lights, and I said, but I don't know that those caution lights, we have to find out that that's not included in our appropriation. So then we've got the added cost.
Well, I was just gonna say, and that's why I really want to see everything, pros and cons, Chief Razor's concerns, all laid out, because as Mayor, as you just said, like, caution lights have a cost. So, if you do one thing and it requires something else to be added on for safety, we have to figure that in. We don't want to get caught short, and I think that's a great point. Going out of town, people start speeding, and, they start, not speeding, but, well, some do, accelerating for the highway speed and coming up the hill.
And that's gonna be coming out on Junction regardless, if you're coming out on Junction, that's gonna be something that we have to take into consideration. The other question, I think it was to all of us, is if there's any sites that you know of that haven't been discussed. I talked about, I asked Keith about, I know, there's the one down by the doctor's office, but that's not conducive either because it's on that backside, but there's vacant land down there as well.
Which doctor's office?
The one down right
Right
here
next to the Green Dragon.
by the Green
Oh,
Dragon.
like around Grove and Summit?
Yeah, it's right there next to the Green Dragon and the doctor's office.
Island doctor.
Yeah,
We'd have to bring DOT in on it, and that's just,
right,
there's no telling what that would take.
what that would take, so that's,
And Mayor, one more question I have is because it seems like Chief Razor has been talking for quite a while, at least in a written city manager's report about helipad. I don't really know much about helipads. I'd like to know, in addition to the size, which I think Mr. Taylor mentioned, what is the cost of a helipad? Is it ground level? Is it raised? I don't know those things. I don't know anything about the one that we have. And then I was hoping, this is kind of a side issue, I was hoping that we would get some more clarity, because he keeps mentioning it every month in his portion of the city manager's report. We get some clarity on what is the problem that we're going to have with the construction at St. John's Recovery Place, because Chief Razor seems to think there's going to be a period of time we won't be able to use that helipad.
And
Good.
Yes, ma'am, if I can respond. So, we've had discussions and Christina's had discussions with the owners at that property. We've had a green light from them that there won't be any issues. I think the chief's concern is that, nothing is ever set in stone. And they are gonna be doing some construction and he wants some autonomy from that. And if we have an availability on the property that we can put a helipad, that we could do it. The cost is gonna include some electrical for proper lighting. It's gonna include cost for concrete work. That concrete work is gonna have rebar and other mechanisms for stability. But the size is not very large. The helicopter is not huge and I couldn't tell you exactly what the size is, but it's not gonna be the 150 foot by 150 feet. That is actually just the clearance space needed in the air. This pad would be on the ground, level with the ground, not elevated above the ground. And it would have probably it could be out of concrete or asphalt. I've seen them done out of both. You'll have striping included with that as well. And then you'll also have, probably either a drive or an area where they can take a gurney or other type of mechanism to take people in and out. And that would be the cost associated. And it may be also part of a closed off area of a parking lot if we were to have a larger piece of property and, that would just be sectioned off and part of the construction site also. But we just, again, not knowing where we are and what, which property, I can't give you an actual cost.
It's just taking space.
It's correct.
Okay, but we're not talking about a structure, we're talking about literally a pad.
A concrete pad, just like a car. Just like a car, it's probably 6 to 8 inches with rebar, fiber mesh, or even metal, mesh, and that's it.
That one over in St. Augustine at the hospital over there, I mean, it's just a small little area and it comes right in there, boom, and sets down.
Yeah, the one at the hospital in South Jack's Beach is really small. I mean, it's smaller than the size of this area right here, and the helicopter lands right there.
And it might end up being that we're talking about a helipad, but if we were to get an urgent care center here, it might be that that's something that could be part of the negotiations with them. They would want that because it would be right there, so that's something else
I
that.
mean, we're lucky that St. John's Recovery Place that was built as a hospital. So it's had a helipad. I mean, how often do we actually need it? It's only when there's a serious accident and
Since I've been here, it's been needed twice.
Yeah.
Since I've been here in 4 months, they've used it either 2 or 3 times.
Well, I can tell you this, when someone has a stroke, more and more they are calling the helicopter and they are taking them. I know 2 good friends of mine, their transport when they had a stroke was by helicopter. Because and it's increasing survival.
Right.
They take people not by ambulance, but they take them directly by helicopter to the closest stroke specialty. And there's a couple of people y'all know here that probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
So Mr. Taylor, is there anything else that you want to provide, or what are your thoughts?
I think we're ready to proceed.
Okay.
I have to inform you, there will be some cost involved with this. And one of those costs has to do with the number of sites and the extent of the investigation.
Okay.
John Grady has said he could do a lot of his investigation online. And I think Derek, you saw one of his emails where he said, hey, this is off the top. I haven't had a lot of time.
yes, sir.
But, the extent of the investigation, costs, evaluations, things like that will cost us more time and more money to produce. So the commission needs to kind of set some parameters. You can either do them now or a little later. It doesn't matter to me, but I kind of need to know what you want us to do. I think the program is essential. I think we need to look at the site designs that we have, and I've done several fire stations. I can
Right,
give you
you've done
my
it for
drawings.
county, yes, and you've done it for other areas.
Yeah, so, and any of that we can help you with, we can do. So, I don't want to go on and on, Mayor.
No, that's okay. The only other thing I do, that we have to be cognizant of, Commission, is that while this is, this money is not, it's reimbursable. It's reimbursable, so we can do it in small sections, and it's pretty quick turnaround, but it is reimbursable. It's not initial outlay.
Right, so that was kind of my my next question was, well, our city manager had asked, what are the costs for this phase? And my question was, where will we get the funds to pay those costs?
Well, we've already paid, a good portion of this front, and she said that we can, that goes into the combined, so we can, those are reimbursable.
But Mayor,
But as
so,
we go forward, everything's gonna start costing.
right, so but what I'm saying is like, we don't have to execute the actual agreement with the Department of Financial Services until January 27th, but we'll be spending money up until way before then. So when do we start? I guess my question is, because you had more contact with them than I have, do we not get reimbursed until the contract is signed?
Was that your understanding, is that we don't get reimbursed until they sign the contract, correct?
I believe so, and to answer the question of where the funds have come out of, they've come out of City Hall under professional services. That's where they were taken out of last year, and I believe that that's where they'll be.
I believe some of it too came out of, Christina, did some of it come out of ARPA also, the initial, some of that came out of ARPA money as well.
I thought they did, and then, so this goes back to my original thought that as a commission, it might help if we got with the chief and our staff and came up with some basic parameters before Mr. Taylor went and looked at properties, because that might inform his search a little bit better. To me, it just seems to be a time saver if we have some kind of agreement amongst ourselves and our staff about what size of project we want here. But, Mr. Taylor seems to have in mind what he wants to do.
Commissioner Lori, did you have something that you wanted to add?
No.
It seems to me the fire chief and the fire marshal and perhaps someone from the county would be best to help address those issues for programming. Certainly, Mr. Martin and Mr. Harris on your staff can help us with site elements, site design, things like that, and help analyzing the existing sites. It's always a team.
Yeah.
And we strive to give you the information so you can say, I like this, I don't like this, change this, fix that, I'm happy with that. So, it's progressive and it's show and tell. I always want you to see where we are so you can say, you're going in the right direction, or you didn't hear me right.
Yeah,
So.
and that's what we depend on you for. That's
Right,
why I said if there's anything that, if you're looking at those sites initially, if there's anything that you see that's, a red flag.
Yes.
That, that we need to know. I mean,
But the mayor, it still concerns me, and to all the commission, it concerns me. We have no idea at this point what size facility we're building or what future we're building it for. We're just building a state-of-the-art fire station, but we don't know what size. A lot of different sizes out there.
We will know as we move forward. There are certain regulatory state bodies that will kind of dictate to Chief. Chief Razor is the subject matter expert. He apologizes he couldn't be here today, but he will be at the next workshop. The other thing is too, on Thursday this week, we do have the county coming in, J.R. Grimes, to discuss with us some of the county's future ideas and planning, as you had asked about. So those discussions will take place on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Does that include Mark Correct?
Mark Corrett will be at the next, but we do have Rebecca Connell here to answer any of those questions
Okay.
regarding PNC, the Clarence Zone.
Okay.
And most of these sites, I think all of them will have to be rezoned to public facilities like the last fire station.
Okay.
The one site, I think it was 500 Junction, is already zoned public facilities, and it's just owned by the city.
Yeah.
Not that part.
So that does add a little bit of time, but obviously that can happen concurrently with.
Right.
Mhm.
With
Usually that works in sequence. I like the idea of it's not linear like that at all. It's a spider web. If you stopped over here, you're going over here. You stopped over here, you're going over there. So you're always moving forward.
I would like permission, or at least a direction from the commission on how deep level you want the investigation on each property, how many tiers of information you want as far as if it's gonna be cost or location, because don't take this wrong, sir. I don't feel that, that we have to have a deep report from our architect here on that. I believe that staff can get a lot of that information and save cost there for what we need to make a decision on. And then once we make that decision based on that, on those parameters, and we can discuss what that is either here or outside of here, as we move forward, individually when I discuss things with you all, but then we can bring him in on the one that we have after the next workshop, on the property that we decide, yes, this is the one that meets all of the criteria that we set forth. Now go ahead and get us a full report on everything, and then we have an idea of what all those other costs are gonna be. The size of the footprint of the building is going to be dependent on the size of the property, and that's something that keeps coming up. That is on the size of the property and the needs, and then of course the state regulatory bodies on what the apparatus is and how we need to respond based on how many people we have. Chief will be able to talk to that as well, yeah.
So perhaps staff can put together like 5, all of these lots that we've talked about, maybe anything else that comes up. I don't know if we want to include Milton Bernie in there as an option, I think we mentioned it. And then maybe we can get it down to 2 and pass that on to Mr. Taylor. Sure. And then he can give us the real depth,
If that's what the commission would like, yes.
And I
so
think
give
getting,
some options.
yeah, and getting the price too, because
Right.
price is gonna be an eliminator right there, and that's our
Right.
first elimination.
Yes.
I think one of those sites might be eliminated immediately just based on price. And so that's something else that, that we're gonna have to make a decision on, and we gotta know that, so if we have to go to them and appeal that, can we purchase, and, that we have to know that too.
The ones off the top of my head are cost, accessibility, existing utilities, and location. Those are the 4 off the top of my head. If you all want us to dig into anything more, we can, and I would like direction on that, but we can definitely do that. Commissioner Lori, Mayor, we can definitely move forward with that.
I think too, and commissioners, that, if we take one that's on the tax rolls now, I think it's vital that we make sure that we're able to put this one back on the tax rolls.
Correct.
If we have to, if that's the direction we have, that we end up going.
Mhm.
My thing is that we're building have an opportunity to build a beautiful fire station, and I want it to be visible. I want it to be, that's just mine, but that's mine, that's not everybody's, I'm only one person, so everybody else might be quite honestly okay with putting it over on the side road.
I know originally when I was looking at the plans and I believe the appropriation request, it was originally, fire, police, it sounded like it was more governmental. And I think that we should have, since we have this new money, have the conversations with the architect, with chief, with all the stakeholders to see if we can utilize a piece of it for an emergency operations center, more so than just the fire. Because it's gonna be a state-of-the-art, as you said, building, super solid, state-of-the-art communications. As Keith alluded to, we're gonna ask for everything that we can get in that building. And it's gonna be where our operations center, in my imagination, would be for us to be able to communicate with the public, especially in a time of need, like a storm, a hurricane, or other disasters. So, and God pray we don't have that, but that's what this building is for.
And we have an opportunity too to put the sheriff's office.
Correct, 100%.
Yes, I'm sure they are.
I know, I was just gonna say, up to now, this has been the safest building, but this new fire station would most likely definitely be the safest building.
From a communication standpoint, 100%.
Yeah, and I can tell you from standing in the back of the last fire station, or the last city hall in 2004, and watching the roof blow off the fire station and roll down the hill, or roll down the street in front of us, that, we wanna be safe. And that's why they come here.
That's why they come here.
Yeah. It'd be nice to have bays that the apparatus is in, and that they're in the same building, that we're in the same building if we need to do that. So, that's a good thought. Hopefully we can get that out of it.
So Mayor, I have one more question for the city manager. He laid out some things that he wanted to evaluate, factors that he wanted to evaluate. Said cost, access, utilities, location. I would add to that, part of location should be safety. I think we all discussed, or several of us brought up safety as an issue. So could we include safety as being a part of location? Does that sound right for everybody? And then my other question was, when the city manager said utilities, does that include all site preparation costs? Because some of our discussion was about site preparation costs and whatever that would require.
So,
Ingress, egress, drainage, additional stoplights, all that.
yes, ma'am. So each property will have a site cost associated, parking lot, drainage, all of those aspects. That's what our design had recently just now. The caveat or the adage to that is that there are some other properties that have more utilities than others. And so the connection cost or the fees for putting in that infrastructure is not needed. And that's where you would have a pro for certain areas versus others. If we need to bring in a water line or if we need to bring in other
Right, I'm just saying,
infrastructure.
were you anticipating in those elements that you were going to include in your analysis, did they include site preparation costs?
Repeat the question, I'm sorry, ma'am.
You just said you intended, you were gonna look at the different properties and come up with an analysis based on cost, access, utilities, location. So I said, hopefully that would include safety, and then does that list, because you said, is there anything else, does that include analysis for site preparation costs?
I can include that in there, and I did intend on looking at the existing utilities for each location. Each location, based on the size of the location, will have a cost per square foot that is indicative to a total project cost. Whether or not you have existing utilities, that's the question that we have to look at in those specific areas, and I'll work with Keith to find that out, so there will be a cost savings there. But you're gonna have the cost regardless, and that will be part of what we look at.
Remember on the Summit Street property, North Summit Street, for the current fire station, one of our big hurdles was adequate water supply. And anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 was the price tag, which we never went there.
And
But
so,
that's exactly what Mr. Martin's talking about.
We did away with the stormwater because
because we
we,
had pre-existing.
but that was a cost initially. That was
Yeah.
absolutely a cost initially. So, okay, with that, Commissioner Burton, you have something to say, then I want to open it up for public comment.
You don't have anything to say.
Oh, I thought you did. You pulled your.
Well, I do, but not at the moment, thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, are we good?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. I would like for the commission to set another workshop at another time. If I can work with Mr. Taylor, I'll make sure that all the other parties are involved. After this exercise, I think staff will need at least a week or two to get everything together. So maybe sometime in November, if we could set up a workshop for a second meeting on this, I'll make sure that.
And this is what I wanna say. You got a lot to put together. Okay, talk is cheap. So make sure when we come to our next workshop, that it is all put together and we can discuss it and come up with some idea of where we wanna go. Instead of coming in here and, doing this kind of stuff. So seriously, okay, if you wanna do it in November, just make sure that all this stuff you wanna put together, because you got a long list, is together and ready for us to look at.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm gonna, some of this stuff he's not gonna have, some of this he will not have. Because that's part of him, that's part of, the engineer.
Consultants, yeah.
And so all of that, and today, obviously, we shouldn't have had a workshop today. I thought everybody wanted to kind of get an idea where we were, on this, and so that's why we're here. And if we have to have this in phases, Derek, if you would just please make sure that you've shared that with the commission, that this is what phase that you're in, that you need some, either some approvals or you need to do some presentations. So just from a time efficiency standpoint, does that work for everybody? Commissioner Burton, does that work for you?
Well, phases is great, okay, but, I don't know how long it would take for you to do all this stuff, and that's why I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay?
That's fine.
It's like, oh, we can do this by November, we can have another, workshop.
I'm pretty
in November.
ambitious. I'll do my best.
But
We have these.
I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to be hard, but I just don't wanna come in here, if you have to do it in phases, fine, I can understand that.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Mayor, if I could.
Sure.
Sure, I didn't mean to say we should not have had a workshop today. I think this is a big project, we have to get the ball rolling sometime. We just didn't, I mean, it was apparent to me, it was a good discussion, and I learned a lot, which is we all have different idea, or we have differing ideas about what the facility is gonna be, but we were able to talk about that. And Mr. Taylor was able to share with us, so, I did not mean to imply that we should not have a workshop. Gotta start somewhere.
Yes, Commissioner Moore, please do.
Well, I want to say, I thank you for the workshop because I was not here September 2024, so it's given me a lot of knowledge. So I've learned a lot, so I know where to go from here, I know where we should be going.
Good.
Okay,
And I think that was the whole purpose of this, so everybody's up to speed.
thank
You
you.
now have this, you all have this, you see what our timeline is, we all know, where we have to go, and,
And I'm relieved to know that we don't have to be there tomorrow.
yeah, it was,
You
We
know,
have time.
Yeah,
Yes.
those deadlines.
it was to our benefit, they had not come in and met with us.
Right.
Because by not doing that, it gave us more time and they combined everything. I'm gonna open it up, if it's okay, Commissioner, to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Y'all have anything to say? Any ideas on what you would like to see in the fire? This is your chance.
Tell us where to put it, because then we don't have to.
You don't have that much time today.
Okay, then I'm gonna close public comment, and so thank you all very much. Mr. Taylor, thank you for your patience
Thank
and your continued cooperation with the city and getting this
Good, glad to help.
done. This is exciting for our city. This,
Very helpful.
yeah, this is very exciting for our city, and very proud to be able to have a brand new fire station.
I mean, look at how long that one stood for, and it was not even planned to be a fire station. Started out as.
So, with that, I think, do we want to, close it out?
Were we gonna make a date? Or were we waiting?
I think Derek has to.
Yeah, I can come back with some deliverables in our next meeting, we can discuss at the city, at the next, commission meeting. And, see, I'll let y'all know where I'm at with it. Is that okay, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Do we have anything else for this workshop that we?
No, well, it's not on the agenda. I think when we discussed this workshop, I asked, could we, talk about where we were with the Winn-Dixie issue?
We
and
did, Commissioner Burton didn't want to be part of that.
So I'm going to leave at this point in time, if that's what
Coming
you want
back.
to talk
Are you
about.
coming
I
back?
don't know what time am I supposed to come back.
You haven't closed it out yet. I would like permission from the commission to get all of the real estate information on the existing property with the with the real estate agent. They're gonna know, they can give us all the information. I believe Christina has somebody here in town. We briefly have talked about that could possibly help us out.
Regular consensus.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, we have, yeah.
Right, we discussed it a lot back, but just so I can give you
Hold
all,
on, I got a lot of conversations going, we're not done yet, we're not done yet.
just so I can give you all the information, because part of, we talked about the taxes and all that, and I need to know what those differences are, so I can build you a full picture. If we were to get rid of that property, here's what we can get for it, here's how much we're adding on taxes for the year, and then, so I just want permission to do that, if that's okay. It's part of the
I think
story.
that's
You just need general consensus. We
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
vote.
No, you can't vote, I just need general, if that's okay, okay,
I mean,
alright.
That sounds like part of it. That
Okay.
makes sense.
So, but does that involve a cost? Is that what?
No, no,
Okay.
it does
well,
not.
I mean, to me, if the city manager thinks he needs to do research,
It's
then
research.
go right
Okay,
ahead.
alright, thank you.
If just, unless there's a cost, that would be the issue.
Mr. Taylor.
So with that, I think with the Winn-Dixie,
Pleasure.
with the Winn-Dixie discussion, I thank you, Commissioner Lori, he, and Rachel, they put together in a, what is it, hyperlink or something, it was huge.
Yeah.
The survey, we got 1,000 signatures. on that, and I have since sent that to the contact at Winn-Dixie and asked him to please share that with those that are in the executive level that are part of the negotiation team, and the comments in that, and you were right. The comments are very compelling, and I brought that to his attention also, that those comments are compelling, and to please make sure that those are considered as well. In the meantime, the Monticello city manager called me Friday evening. I'd spoken to the mayor, and he called me Friday evening, and actually he said they had been following our lead. So they kind of were watching what we were doing. Unfortunately, it was not to their benefit at this time. I know that I think they just closed theirs down. I shared that survey with him as well, the petition. I looked as of last week, the latest update is we still don't have, and I'll pull my phone out for everybody just because I'm only pulling my phone out because I have a picture of it, but it's my understanding that from currently, it's still, if I can find it, no, that's my Amazon, hold on. Where is it? That currently they are, it's still showing, give me a second. Well, I know I took a picture, oh, here it is. Here it is, so, Palatka is still unconfirmed, and Crescent City is still unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed as to,
The future.
As
Whether
the
it would be
future,
an
the
Aldi's or
future.
Wendy's.
okay, but our store is now owned by
All of them are owned by Aldi.
That's what I'm saying, they're owned by.
They've been owned by Aldi.
Yes, so my question is, first, thank you for sharing the petition with the Winn-Dixie contact, but, could we all have copies?
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you, is that I provided a copy to the clerk, and so of what I'd sent out, and I was gonna ask her if everybody was in agreement for them to send it to you. Did you get a copy of that, maybe, in the email? Did you get a copy of the email?
Me?
No. I thought I did. I sent it to you.
Regarding the petition?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. So that's something that I didn't want to forward it out to the commissioners, but if you can just send that out to the commissioners, that would be awesome. Aldi has owned these all along. They bought them, okay? What's happened is when Dixie, decided, when the other conglomerate, then that went away, and the Federal Trade Commission wouldn't allow this other one to purchase, they combined with Southeastern Grocers, and they decided they wanted 170 of the Winn-Dixie stores. So that's what they want, and so they've been in negotiations with Aldi for that. The Brandywine store is not even listed on this, so it looks as if the Brandywine store is probably staying under Southeastern Grocers. So really kind of what we've been doing is telling Southeastern Grocers, because Aldi is, and Monticello said the same thing. They said they never heard anything from Aldi.
Right.
Nothing.
That's what the chamber
Yeah.
person who I
Yes.
talked to
Yeah.
said, they did not respond.
Yeah.
And
And we've already sent them the petition and everything earlier. We sent that to Aldi. And you can't even get a contact person when you try to find somebody. There's not a contact person.
so I've heard.
So we've asked them, so I think really our hope is that when Dixie is part of their negotiation, because they're trying to build up their brand. They're just celebrating their 100-year anniversary. Publix is 95 years this year, and Winn-Dixie is 100, huh?
Right, so you're saying when Dixie is trying to build his brand,
Southeastern Grocers.
Southeastern
They're
Grocers,
trying to rebuild their brand.
okay,
And so they will probably even be rebuilding possibly some stores in areas where they've lost them, where Aldi went ahead and did a conversion. The concern, like in Monticello, when I was talking to him, because even though Monticello is a little more developed, it's it's a suburb of Tallahassee, it's still, and you're familiar, I mean,
it's far.
it's far, and that's what he said. and they've lost just like we have. And it's gonna be down for probably at least 4 months.
Right.
So that means we'll have nothing here for 4 months except for the, Save-A-Lot and Dollar General and Family Dollar.
Well, Mayor, if I could,
Yes.
when you first brought this up, because you're more in tune with grocery business than the rest of it, when you first brought this up and you had a resolution, we have a resolution.
Yeah.
And I guess, has the resolution gone to the Winn-Dixie Clinic?
Both of
But the resolution.
Yeah, everything
Okay.
going to them.
So if
We
I,
sent that along early on.
right, if I remember, you and I, have very similar thoughts on the negative impact potentially of losing a full-service grocery store to our municipality. Am I remembering that right?
That's the whole reason we did this.
Exactly. And there were people who came to the meeting who were also concerned about the economic impact, their ability to access full-service grocery services. So, there are two things that I think we might do. I think I've talked about one of them before, well, I've talked about. One is members of the public expressed an interest in us having a community forum after work hours. That they would, some of the people who came and spoke, because I think ours was during the workday time, said they would really like us to have a community forum. I think that'd be helpful. Just because, we could videotape it, people could say what they wanted to say, in more detail than on a petition. And the second is, our chamber president really suggested that we try to get a meeting and that we strategize and try to come up with what we can offer Southeastern grocers. And she suggested, that we do that. She and I talked about, both tangible incentives, like a tax rebate, she said we could do that. And also intangible incentives. And I would really like to see us do that. Do you
Well, I
think?
think we should come up with those because it's not really gonna be with Winn-Dixie. It's gonna, with Southeastern Grocers, it's gonna be with Aldi.
Well,
Because Aldi owns that Winn-Dixie now.
right,
And so,
but it doesn't,
To attract Southeastern grocers.
to take.
Oh,
Take the
oh.
store, take the store.
but
But I think it's up to all.
it's up to Aldi, and see,
Not
that's the problem is
Okay,
it's up to Aldi, and that Winn-Dixie is a high producer.
okay, but this is the $64 question, and this is where the public meeting comes in. I think one of our responsibilities is to, it's a high producer now, will it be a high producer as a discount grocer? Will it meet, to me, the basic question is, will it meet the needs of the people here enough to attract them to shop there? But the suggestion from the chamber was that there had to be both a willingness on Aldi's part to sell it back or to give it back, and there had to be a willingness of Southeastern grocers to request it back, and that was the part that we would need to work on. Because if they won't request it back, then I'm sure Aldi's is not just going to, on their own, decide to give it back. So that was the suggestion of the chamber, is that we meet with Winn-Dixie, offer any incentives that we can, and any arguments that they could provide to Aldi's, I guess, but that we work on that part of the equation. That's not coming from me, that's coming from the
The
chamber.
one thing though is that, the one thing I have been told is that Aldi does not like to come into a community where they are not, welcomed.
Okay,
And so that's an issue. I was also told, and I'm trying to figure out where it was.
Right.
It was either Deltona or DeBerry, one of those. It's actually the opposite. The city benefited because Aldi had already made that decision, and as part of that, with what they had to do is that there was a benefit to the city because of it, when they actually decided to do that. So rather than us do the tax rebate, there was a and I'm not sure, I'm trying to find it, I've looked it up. DeBerry had a lot of debate about that crossing over between, a private, entity and where they are, but like us, it's a community,
What do you mean a private entity?
because they're a private entity.
Who is?
Southeastern Grocers, it's private property on private entity, and we're getting involved in that, and so that was something that they had had some discussion about. But they did, they did, but not nearly to the degree, I think we in Monticello have probably been the most vocal.
Well, Commissioner Burton has a different idea, but retail strategies wouldn't exist. You wouldn't have a CRA program if municipal
We
government
understand,
did not
we all
take
understand
some
that, we all
initiative.
understand that.
But, so are you saying, are you saying that DeBerry and Deltona decided that there was more benefit to the city by
No,
being in Albany?
No, they didn't, but part of that, as they did the change over the conversion,
Yes.
there was some sort of, I was told, I haven't been able to find it anywhere yet,
Okay,
that possibly there was a fee involved,
a fee paid from who to who?
from, I guess, Aldi or whoever. Now, I haven't confirmed that, so
Oh,
that
you're saying that Aldi paid
possibly,
possibly,
and I have not confirmed that, yes.
well,
Because it's part of the, it was part of their, but they might do their own permitting and it might be confused with that. So I'm just saying that it can go both,
well,
I think most of us would agree that the benefits of having one Dixie here would outweigh any benefits, I think, of the conversion.
absolutely, absolutely.
And it's more than just our community, it's here in our community, but it affects people from Hastings to Barberville.
And I said that in the letter too, is that we
You know,
get,
all the stuff.
it's the surrounding communities as well. It's not just our community, it's the surrounding communities. And then it's like, you have so many people that come to Crescent City because of the Dixie.
And then do other
And
things
then-
while we're here.
And they do other things where they will have to go up somewhere else.
but, so my hope would be that we could schedule another public forum. Maybe ask, find a moderator for it and, invite businesses, residents, to, express their concerns. I'd particularly like to hear, from local businesses. I'd like to hear from the people who live in Seville and Pearson and even Astor. I told you about the lady I told you about the lady I talked to at customer service for some company I called, and she said, oh, I know Crescent City, I come up there, go to your Winn-Dixie.
We can, that's something that we can possibly do.
Maybe
I don't know that we could even hold it here, huh?
Could the chamber sponsor it, so it's not just the, and then maybe we just invite and coordinate with other.
There you go.
Yeah, or we could, because
Because I don't want it to also
they'd be
look
willing
like
to do
it's
that, yeah,
the
right.
city, having a negative,
Yeah.
we obviously want to have a community forum, we want to all talk about this, and we know how we feel, most of us here, but we don't also want to make it that the city of Crescent City is against, or getting involved. So if we had the chamber sponsor and we invite everybody in and have it at the school or something, at the auditorium.
And we've
That's
shared
a nice
that
idea.
we're not against Aldi, and I want that very clear. Nobody,
But if we have a
Aldi
choice.
provides a great opportunity. It's just not that full service that a lot of our residents have been depending on, and I did put that in the letter.
Thank you.
Something to that,
That's great.
something to that.
And that's, the petition.
I think Commissioner Roy had a great idea about asking the chamber if they could sponsor, they might even, facilitate. Maybe they would have somebody who would like, to facilitate, and then that would be a nice way to invite, when you say hold it at the school, which school?
Auditorium at the middle school.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking too, is that we have to hold it at the auditorium.
Yeah, there's most
Because-
likely, if we invited Pearsonsville, everyone around, it would most likely
Right, and
definitely
does,
out. Yes, sir.
does Middleton Learning have any kind of gym or auditorium
No.
that has no?
There's
Cafeteria.
cafeteria and,
Okay, and does it have tiny little chairs?
Yeah.
Because the winter.
When I was there for the second graders, it was tiny little too.
Right, okay, well, I mean, to me, this is a great project, and who knows, we might, we might come up with some other helpful economic information, along the way.
We'll talk to Laura about it and see if they would be open to it, if that's what the commission wants to do. I can reach out to Laura and talk to her
Thank
and
you,
see
Mr.
if they
Taylor,
would.
very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Mayor?
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Taylor. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
Everybody good? Anything else before we, take a break?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna adjourn this workshop. Thank you all for being here and we will reconvene at 3:30. Great.
I love my job to the beginning, but I told my husband, please ask the captain.